Hi everyone and welcome to another restoration video. This is finally my country farmhouse kitchen table, and I'm just reminding you of what it looked like in the beginning. Just a quick edited version of how scuffed, marked, gouged, weird nails in weird places, etc., it was, and just a bit of what it looked like in the beginning. Just speeding it up for you now and there's the wobbly legs. Actually, one of them was really wobbly. Can't remember which one. Speeding it up because even the disassembly process is quite arduous, so I'll probably end up skipping most of this. Showing you these corners, they've got really curly, bent, twisted, rusted, huge 10-inch nails. Look at them. And they go for miles in every corner. I don't even know how I'm going to get them out. So I finally disassembled everything, and now I'm up to just really sanding off. It's all solid timber, so using an 80 grit at the moment just to sand off everything. So I'm not going to show you all of this because there's, I don't know, 100 pieces. Well, not 100, but there's a lot of pieces, and watching me sand is most probably infinitely boring. So I'll skip this. So yeah, but I'm using carbide scraper when I can on the bit on the back there, and when I don't, I'm using a mouse sander. So I've sanded everything. Every single piece has been sanded down. That's all that I've done to them so far, apart from label each piece to make sure it all goes back in the same spot that it came from. And now what I'm doing is just getting ready to put together the 4 planks from the tabletop. I'm laying them on some clamps to make sure they're as even and as level as possible. And I'm going to be gluing them together with wood glue and leaving them for a minimum of 24 hours. I probably can leave them for a couple of days just to really, just to, just to be sure. So I made a decision to treat the tabletop with oxalic acid before commencing with gluing. And oxalic acid is commonly known in the woodworking community as a wood bleach. Oh, it actually bleaches other things too, but a wood bleach or a wood stain remover. But what it actually does is remove tannins based in iron based stains. So things such as old watermarks, grey stains, rust marks, and that sort of thing. I'll speed this up for you. Just a little after the oxalic acid, it's still a little bit wet, but already the woodiness, the luster of the wood's coming through. It's less grey and it's more ruddy, and I'm still seeing stains. Might have to do another coat. I've done 2 coats of oxalic acid now, and this is the almost dried table. It's still got a few wet bits that are still drying off. I'm very happy with it. It doesn't necessarily portray on camera, but the grey has gone and the pinkiness of the woods, the lush, has come through. That's a wet spot there. That's still wet. That still needs to dry. So that's not a stain. That's fine. That stain there, I don't know what it is. The base of that is not tannins or iron, so it's something weird that's not going to come out. But it has faded a bit, so that's okay. And then there's all these, somebody's violently stabbed this table with some cylindrical object at some point, I don't know what. So I'll be addressing that, and what I'm going to do with that is give it a go with some sawdust mixed with wood glue rather than use wood filler. And just because I happen to have the same wood, not the exact piece, but I have the same oak wood in shavings, so I'll use that instead. Or I'll try it anyway and see how it looks. So on the top of one of the table legs there was a bit of rot which I've cleaned out. So that bit there is solid, that was fine. The bit there that I'm pointing to was the bit that, so it was only a quarter of the top of the table leg. So I'm filling that in with some automative filler after cleaning all the rotty bits out. And I'm using automative filler on purpose because I've got Bondo and fillers and all different products, but this one is the one that I go to for anything that's to do with holding something up or part of the structure. So I'm going ahead now and I'm going to glue all my 4 panels together. So prior to gluing, the edges that I'm painting now with wood glue have been thoroughly cleaned. All the old glue has been removed. I've sanded them with fine grit sandpaper just to make sure that there's no remnants of anything there, any old glue or splintered bits. Yeah, and it's important when you're painting to, you know, thoroughly coat every surface that's going to be bonding with the glue. And clamping, of course, clamping is massively important. And they're sitting on 2 clamps underneath, partly to level them out but also to hold them, and that won't quite be enough, those 2 clamps there. Just wiping off the excess glue and making sure they're aligned the way that I want them, and I'm just going to now action those 2 clamps that are sitting underneath, and I'm just putting a bit of cardboard in between the clamp and the surface of the wood just to make sure there's no impression from the clamp made in the wood with the pressure of the clamp. So the clamps, the force of the clamps buckles the table a little bit in the middle, which I expected. So to offset that, I'm going to lay some plyboard on top, clamp that down as well, and add some weight a weight to the top of the table just to ensure that whilst it's gluing and setting, it also stays flat and doesn't buckle. So these are the bracing parts of the table, so they go underneath and are part of the structure, the support structure. I've off camera, forgot to turn the play on the camera, sorry. I found a little split, just probably 20 centimetres long in that piece of wood. So I've gone ahead and glued it, and I've just applied a couple of little clamps. It was only a little split, but just enough to bother me. And I'm showing you now the stains on the wood, so I'm just going to go ahead and give them a treatment with oxalic acid too, and they should clean up no problem. Tabletop is all glued, clamps have been removed, didn't fall apart. I've lifted it a couple of times. Free or cheap wood filler alternative can be sawdust trimmings, particularly if you've got some that exactly match or are from the product that you're using, and a bit of wood glue does wonders. And sometimes, not always, a better alternative to some wood fillers. Sometimes it's stronger. Okay, progress is being made. Sanding the sawdust off the table to a nice. This would be. I can't remember what grit I used. I possibly used an 80 grit. I reckon I did, just to knock that sawdust down a little bit. So now I've got the really difficult task of removing all the old and broken dowels from the dowel holes. Pretty much none of them were any good, so I'm replacing all of the dowels, and some of them have stayed embedded in the holes, of course, because they would have originally been glued in. So I'm going to figure out how I'm going to reef them all out. Some of them I'll be able to reef out probably, and some I'm just going to have to drill out. So I'm going to approach these dowels two ways, one of two ways, depending on the presentation of the dowel. So one trick that I'm going to use is trying to actually drill a screw into the center of the embedded dowel and then unscrew it out. Sometimes that works, and if that doesn't work, I'll just be using a big fat drill bit and I'll be drilling them out. Little just trying to put the legs together, and just found that there's a little bit of shrapnel, as it were, in the dowel holes that I'm just getting the little bits out just to make sure the dowels fit well. All the dowels fitting nicely. I'm just throwing on 2 clamps at the top part there, and they'll stay on for 24 hours now, just to make sure that they bond beautifully to to the glue, the glue to the dowels, and the dowels to the joints, holes. So both the short end legs of the table have now been glued and put together and clamped. I did the second one off camera to save you. Looking good. So on the home run, the two short sides were clamped, and today they're strong and intact. So now I'm just doing the two long beams, just seeing how they're going to fit and what I need to do to put it all back together. I'll speed it up for you at the moment. So all I'm doing now is the two long pieces. I'm adding the dowels. I'm adding glue into all of the holes, adding glue onto the dowels, and I'm literally just putting it together like a jigsaw puzzle, and then I'll be clamping that. Now, as I said, I don't have clamps long enough. So last night I did make myself a clamp extender, which you'll see in a minute. Just putting some glue on all of the dowels that I need to secure the long beams to the short legs. Camera angle's questionable. Sorry. So I've put it all together, but what I haven't done yet is clamped it. So I've just called out to get some help. I think help's on the way. But I don't have a clamp long enough, so I have made at this stage I've made a clamp extender. I just am too stingy to go out and buy more clamps. I don't use long clamps that often. That thing I just plonked down in the middle of the table is my homemade clamp extender. It's really handy. I just made it last night. I'll demonstrate in a second. So I've just had to make some extra holes in my clamp extender. We'll make the hole bigger. And I have to diagonalise the two clamps, which I'm actually not happy about, but in the end it does work perfectly well. But in the future, should I do this again, I'll have one clamp extender for each clamp rather than use one clamp extender to diagonalise two clamps. But it worked. Oh God. I just stained the whole table, and I thought I was doing it on film, and I did it off film by accident. It was fantastic. I looked up at the camera and it wasn't filming. So tomorrow I'm going to cut that with high grit, fine grit sandpaper, 300 or 600, probably 600 grit sandpaper, and do a second coat. So the bottom section of the table, including the legs, or the bracing parts anyway, are almost done. So the four legs are together, the four panels are together, all using dowels and wood glue. And now I'm just putting the corner braces back on. So off camera, and mainly because time's ticking along, I've gone ahead and put screw holes in the to screw these corner brackets in. So, and I've drilled extra wide holes to countersink them, which just means that they get screwed in deeper, and then I can put some putty or something on top to cover those holes. And I've just gone ahead and done that with all 4 corners and the mid brace as well. A little bit of store-bought wood putty in the holes, and I'll leave that for the night to dry. So I'm really going for it now. The tabletop is being screwed down onto the base, the structure. So I'm drilling, so each panel, there's 4 panels, separate panels to this, so each panel will get 1 screw in the centre of it at each end. So 8 screws in total, and I'm going to hide those screws, or another way of putting it is countersinking them as well and putty them up afterwards so that they're also hidden. So I've puttied them up, put the screws in, puttied them up. I have sanded them down as well. Just a quick hand sand, that's all. A quick hand sand with a little bit of a coarser grit just to knock the putty off, and then straight in with a softening 300 followed by 600. So due to the screws and the puttying, I have gone over it again lightly with another coat of walnut, but this bit here is hard wax, so I've done all that now, but this is a coat of Feast and Watson's Australian brand hard wax in brown, and it's stunning. Hi everyone. So the farmhouse table has taken me ages, but it's actually been less work time than the time that's passed. My daughter had a bout of COVID during it, and then I got a bit crook. I didn't seem to get COVID, but I had a few days where I wasn't able to do much. But anyway, it's nearly finished. Well, it is finished because you wouldn't be watching this if it wasn't finished. So tomorrow is my final day. All I've got to do now is I'm probably going to do a second coat of wax on that tomorrow, but I'm also going to wax the legs, and it's done. It's ready for selling. Yeah, I hope you like the after more than you like the before. Some people would like the before too, because it was actually pretty cute as it was, but it was rickety and paint was coming off everywhere and the joints were failing, and yeah, up close and personal it was still cute, but yes, hopefully it's cuter. All right, thank you for watching. If you're watching me, then you've watched me, and if you're watching me, I hope you've enjoyed it. I really, it's only early days for me on YouTube, and I think I've got 11 subscribers. I know a lot more people have watched than that, which is lovely. I can see that my end, and I know I get it now. I get it from the perspective of a YouTuber. Those likes and comments and subscribers are they're like a hit of energy.
yeah, so anyway, I'd love it if any of you would subscribe. I'd die and go to heaven if any of you commented or thumbs up or anything, even a negative comment. I don't mind. It's all I take it all as a compliment because you watched. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.